How you guys doing? What's up? Welcome into Rover Sports. Started out talking like Tommy from Disaster Artist.
Yeah, Tommy Lenyo.
Bruce, how are you?
Doing well. This is a exciting week for football. Before we go into a lull, big lull with the Senior Bowl and the Pro Bowl, this is, of course, championship weekend. We're broadcasting live from Rover Sports. We're at our YouTube. My name is Bruce the Sports Talk. I'm here with Spencer G. And we want to talk about something that everybody's talking about and also something that nobody's talking about. Firstly, the mundane.
Hit that subscribe button.
Yes. Hit that subscribe for Rover Sports. And comments will be appreciated and noted.
And read.
So, number one, AFC championship game. Does Jacksonville have a chance? Do they have a chance of a snowball in hell to beat the Patriots? And if so, how the heck are they going to do it? And what's the blueprint for victory?
I'm worried, Bruce, about their linebackers being able to cover the running backs out of the backfield. Because if you watch Jimmy Garoppolo play against the Jaguars, he was able to exploit the middle of the field. So the Patriots are going to try to dump it off to Dion Lewis in the middle of the field. And I think that that's going to be very difficult for the Jacksonville linebackers to cover. And also, they're going to go hurry up. So the Jaguars are going to get tired. I'm not sure how much depth's on the Jaguars defense. So I think Tom Brady's going to have a lot of success hitting his running backs. And it's going to be death by 1,000 paper cuts in this game.
That's right.
He's going to get the ball out of his hands quickly, not a lot of long developing plays. And that pass rush is going to get tired.
What's Gronkowski going to do? Do you predict a big game for him? Or are they going to feature him more of a decoy? What do you think?
I think that Amendola is going to have an unbelievably huge game. I think Dion Lewis, if he can play, Rex Burkhead, whoever the running back is, they're just going to feed him, do little dump offs to him in the middle. The middle of the field is the worst part of the Jaguar defense, where Puslesky is, because he can't cover. He's too old to cover guys. So the middle of the field, they're going to stay away from the corners. They're not going to throw it to Ramsey or A.J. Boye. They're just going to be doing all these slants in the middle of the field all game long, and the Jags are not going to have the ball at all.
So you think it's going to be ball control? They're just going to literally take the air out of the ball.
Yes.
Not actually
the
the
Jags
PSU.
defense is going to be exhausted. Just like the Titans defense, pretty much.
I know that we have early weather forecast here in Philadelphia is fairly warm. It's supposed to be mid 40s, maybe even as high as 50 for the game on Sunday, which is at 6:40. The second game. Any clue about the weather in New England? I don't know if we've got any early
I'm
line
not
on
sure, but I think the New England game's the early game.
It is the early game. So in some ways, the Jags get a little bit of a break because it doesn't get any warmer as the sun goes down. Here in Philadelphia, the certainly the discussion is that the Eagles are getting no respect. How they're still underdogs at home against the Minnesota Vikings, and looking at the game, I think that the Eagles will feast on Case Keenum. He's coming here. He hasn't done well in away games. I think he's 1-6 on away outdoor games. The Ed Hercules is the ref, and he's been pretty good to the Eagles. Eagles have gone 9-4 in the last 13 games that Hercules has refereed. So these are some of the discussions around Philadelphia, and I think Nick Foles, certainly had a very serviceable game. People were just totally panicking and going off the Titanic.
Nick Foles?
On Nick Foles.
Right.
But I think he had a serviceable game against the Falcons.
Well, I mean, against the Raiders, he was terrible, but also the Falcons were spotting him the easiest of throws. I think that Case Keenum is a better player than Nick Foles because Case Keenum is more mobile. He goes for his reads faster than Nick Foles. Nick Foles has more arm strength than Keenum. But I think the Eagles, have a great chance of winning the football game this week. You saw what they did to Matt Ryan, and although Steve Sarkisian is a really, I don't think that he did a good job at all. I don't think he's a good offensive coordinator whatsoever. I'm not a fan of his work being a coordinator. I look at Pat Shermer coming into Philadelphia, and I don't see Murray running the ball well there. I don't see Jerick McKinnon running it that well. I don't really see that many advantages. The one guy that's very difficult to cover is Adam Thielen. And if I were the Vikings, I would try to hit like those 8 yard passes to Thielen. I would try to like get Thielen running curls. And if I were the Eagles defense, I'd force Case to throw it over the top. So
It'll be interesting to see. Ronald Darby is kind of a feast or famine type of cornerback. I think he'll be covering Diggs most of the time, but Thielen is tall and he's very rangy. So going against Jalen Mills, Jalen Mills doesn't have great speed. I think that'll be a good matchup
I
for
think
the
Jalen
Vikings.
Mills is very underrated. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the National Football League. I think that he's one of the best corners in the league. I think that he has amazing potential. I think he's the ultimate competitor, and nobody likes to talk about him, but he's really a solid player. I don't see a lot of opportunities for the Vikings in this game. The crowd noise, everything there. Case Keenum struggled in the second half against the Saints. I see the Eagles defense holding Minnesota pretty firmly in this spot. Do you think Minnesota? How can Minnesota score the ball on the Eagles? How did they do that? If you're Pat Shermer, what do you do to score the ball?
Well, I'm looking at when I saw the Falcons. Coleman did pretty well running outside. I think it's really hard to run between the tackles against the Eagles defense. Fletcher Cox, Bo Allen, Vinny Curry was actually signed to be a pass rusher, but he's really turned out to be more of a run stopper. But I was disappointed in the Eagles' pursuit, lateral pursuit of Coleman. So I think as Murray, I think if they do some sweeps, I think the Minnesota offensive line is pretty stout. And so I see them. Also, the Eagles have some weaknesses against the quick slant. So I think the slant play, if they play cover two, I believe that Diggs will certainly have some opportunities. Thielen also will have some opportunities. And the Eagles missed some tackles in the last game. Ronald Darby whiffed on a Sanu play. That was a 15-yard gain. So I think Ronald Darby still isn't 100% from his injury. And I think sometimes he could be fooled. He's not the brightest guy, although he's the most athletic quarterback that the Eagles have. The special teams really let the Eagles down. They had a bad muffed punt. They need to tighten that up because that really was a turnaround of the game. They really handed the Falcons 7 points, and literally two different Eagles, touched the ball on a play. So when you're kicking, and two guys touch it and fumble the ball.
I guess so. I think that the Eagles will win that game now against Minnesota. So you think the Eagles will win too?
I think it'll be a close game.
So Nick Foles going up against the Minnesota defense. Minnesota has to force Nick. They have to get pressure on Nick Foles, which I'm not sure they can do. The Eagles' offensive line is pretty elite. I don't think Nick Foles was touched once in the other game we just saw. So, I look at the Eagles probably winning this game, and then I look at the Patriots, definitely
Yeah,
winning that
I
one.
see the Patriots winning. The Eagles, I think that they have a little more playoff experience overall, though most recently, who would have thought, when Chip Kelly basically traded away Deshaun Jackson, gave away Shady McCoy, who thought that 2 years later the Eagles would be hosting the NFC Championship? I think it's a credit to Howie Roseman as executive of the year. And I think that Doug Peterson, who many people thought, nobody wanted him. The only head coaching experience he had was for a high school team, and somehow nobody expected the Eagles this year to really go this far. So I think they're playing with house money. They're playing at home. The crowd I think will be a factor, but the Vikings are riding an incredible year as well, and their defense is number one. So I think it's going to be a close game. In case Keenum has looked really poised, if they can protect him in the pocket, I think I think it's a close game. Although it seems like Vegas is giving they're giving a slight advantage to the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that they're doing that because they just love the defense of Minnesota. And, Minnesota's going to have to get after the Eagles and, really shut them down in the game that, in order to win. And, we just have to see if the Eagles can hit any big plays. But I think it's Jim Schwartz, though. I think it's Malcolm Jenkins. I think it's Fletcher Cox. The Eagles' defense has been tremendous. And then, it's really Carson Wentz. When you have, one of the best players in the NFL as your quarterback, you saw it with Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck took the Colts that were a really poor roster, and he made a conference championship with that kind of team because Andrew Luck was just that good. He put the team on his back. We saw Cam Newton when Cam Newton had that MVP caliber season and the team only lost one game en route to a Super Bowl. It's because Cam Newton came into his own. And this year we saw with Carson Wentz, he was unstoppable. He made Zach Ertz a Pro Bowler. He made a player in Nelson Aguilar that was going to be cut into a very formidable player. So I think it's mostly all Carson Wentz. It's Jim Schwartz. It's having the best staff in the NFL. It's having a great general manager. And Doug Peterson, is an aggressive coach with play calling. And he's done a really nice job. He's a player's coach. He's solid, and he's scheming fairly well. So he's going about it in a fairly nice manner.
So we're Rover Sports on Bruce the Sports Talk here with Spencer G. And we're broadcasting ahead of the NFC Championship game here in Philadelphia, 6:40 Eastern Time. And then, of course, the Patriots at the 1 o'clock game will be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think that's 3 o'clock. I think
No.
the Eagles game's at 6:40, and
Oh,
the
no, I
Patriots
think,
at
no, you're right.
3:40.
I'm sorry. It is a 3 o'clock game. These are odd times, right? There is no 1 o'clock game, although it's hard to imagine it. Yeah, so it's a 3 o'clock game. Kind of special timing for the championship games. And I believe television, they know exactly what prime time is. There was an interesting comment by one of our Rovers out there that stated that they thought that there'd be a letdown from Minnesota after that incredible last second victory, that was an emotional high and they're set for a letdown. What do you think about that?
I think it's possible, but probably not. They're just going to play the game that they know how to play. They're going to play Minnesota Vikings football. They're going to play a clean game. They're not going to take that many risks, and I think the Vikings will just be fine. They'll even have more perspective. I like Minnesota. They're one of the most mature teams in the NFL. I love Everson Griffin. He gave a funny interview after the game. Where he almost pulled out a woman's hair wig after the game. He's just a great personality, and this Vikings team is very likable. And I know Shermer's going to be leaving the team. But for Brian Robeson and some of those veterans, this is a great opportunity for them to, late in their careers to try to get a Super Bowl in their hometown. Pretty damn cool.
The tight end, he's been there a really long time. What's his name?
He's been there like 5 years, maybe. Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph's pretty solid. Sometimes tight ends do damage against the Eagles. Again, I think he's a solid player. He's a good blocker. They're going to need him to protect Case Keenum. But another likable player, solid guy. Who's the defensive player who does all the in locker room interviews?
Robeson.
Robeson. And are they YouTube interviews?
Yeah.
So what's his first name?
Brian.
So Brian Robeson, if you want to see something really funny, just watch all Brian Robeson's YouTube interviews. He asks like rapid fire questions to the team, and it's very entertaining. And I think if you want to get to know the Minnesota Vikings team, you can learn the personalities a lot by watching Robeson. And I think he has a future definitely in sports media.
Can we do trending up or down?
Yeah, sure. So right now we've covered that topic. There's more. There hasn't been any real surprises or injuries this week that we could really report on. So we want to also read the comment.
I'll try. I mean, the font is so small it's hard to read it. But let's do trending up or down. So let's start out in the AFC East with the Miami Dolphins and Mike Tannenbaum in this ball club.
I'm gonna say trending down. They had Jay Cutler. I don't think they're gonna sign him for another year. Team's in disarray.
Oh, Andrew Zadeo is in concussion protocol.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So what do you think about the Dolphins trending down?
I say they're trending down. How about yourself?
I think that Mike Tannenbaum's terrible. Like, I don't know how this guy keeps getting recycled in the NFL. I think Adam Gase is really putrid. The fact that he's hiring the Bears offensive coordinator, Dowell Loggins, like, why does Dowell Loggins continue to get opportunities? He's a terrible offensive
It's the
coordinator.
old boy network.
You know what? The
They just keep recycling
If I
him.
had a choice to play on any franchise, the Dolphins would be my last choice. That city of Miami.
I would say the Browns would be my last choice.
Well, but that city of Miami, it's so distracting. The culture there is awful. No one gives a rat's you know what about football in Miami, okay? The players don't care. The fans are apathetic and leave the games early. It's a terrible, terrible football city. It's
a lot
not
of
a football
transplants.
town.
Right, not a lot
It's
of true Dolphins
it's
fans.
It's awful. And the players don't care. They all go out. They all drink too much. And Vegas is going to run into this problem too with the Raiders. Is that you're going to have to draft the right kids, and just Miami, the beach is there. It's warm all the time.
But on the other hand,
you know what I'm saying? It's
but on the other hand,
it's not. Like the Packers are always going to practice harder than the Dolphins.
On the other hand, when people go to Vegas, when any team goes to Vegas, it's going to be distracting. It's going to be a vacation.
Right.
We're going to go to the casinos. They're going to go out to the clubs, And so I think if Vegas, if their team is rooted there, in certain ways they'll be able to get into a rhythm. When teams go to Vegas, they're going to be distracted. It's going to be like Hangover 4.
That's going to be great, but imagine all off season if you're located in Vegas. I mean, imagine if you're living in Vegas, with all the distractions there, all the prostitution, the drugs, the alcohol, all of that in Vegas.
They have that in every town.
How you doing, Thomas? What's going on, man? So we're the Dolphins to me. Worst coach, worst general manager, most apathetic.
Trending down. So you picked that.
I hate that.
That's
team.
kind of the most trending down franchise.
And I don't like that team one bit. I'll admit, I don't.
Okay.
Let's talk
I'm
about
more neutral.
Let's
I don't really
talk
have
about the
feelings
Jets.
about
Let's talk about the Jets. Let's talk about the Jets. Jabari's into the house. What's going on? The New York Jets. I think that I'll open up this topic. I think, UCF Jaguars in the house, man. UCF,
Congratulations, UCF.
Yeah.
You must have been. I don't think you've slept, man. That was the best Jags game ever. Incredible upset of the Steelers. Blake Bortles looking like an All-Pro.
I mean,
Played the best
UCF
game of his
Jaguars
life.
had the year of his life. Tom Coughlin's amazing. Doug Marrone. They run the football. Leonard Fournette is so likable. So I think that UCF Jaguar and his channel's amazing. I mean, the video he did he took a video, Bruce, where he went to a game. He went to where UCF Jaguar went.
Instability here.
You know where UCF Jaguar went? He goes to all the Jaguar games. And he went
sit
to
in
a
the
game.
pool?
He did for one video, Bruce. He sat in the hot tub and had a GoPro, and it was one of the coolest things ever. And imagine if you invite girls and watch football and able to chug beers at the game. That's a wonderful experience. But
Yeah, win or
UCF
lose,
Jaguars,
it sounds like a fun experience.
UCF
there.
Jaguars is having the year of his life, and I'm so glad because these Jaguars are never in the news. But I love how Jalen Ramsey guaranteed a Super Bowl victory. When you're a small market team like they are, the fact that the fans rally like that, and the fact that they have powerful personalities, it's a lot of fun. It kind of reminds me of the Seattle Seahawks uprising too. The Jags are like the Seattle Seahawks. But back to the Jets, we got to talk about them on our trending up or down.
Yep.
I know that Jet Central is a great fan. I know that a lot of guys on here
a
are
good
Jets
fan.
fans.
We hate to diss the Jets. It's
it's
almost like kicking a team when they're down.
I think that
it's
Jets,
a dog that's almost dead. Trying to say eulogy for him.
I think that first of all, they have no offensive. They don't have any guy that knows how to coach offensive football in that entire ownership. You have Woody Johnson, who loves chaos. You have a very impulsive owner. You have a coach in Todd Bowles who's emotionless. You have no offensive coordinator whatsoever. The Jets are probably not even going to draft a quarterback in this year's draft. They're probably going to draft more defense. This is a team that is going to actually fall completely apart. I think they're still trending down. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams.
I'd say they're trending
year.
sideways. I mean, they had an average year. I see them.
What is 6-10 next year?
You took the words out. Yeah, 6-10, which
That's
is
a
kind
bad
of the same.
year.
I'm not saying it's good.
Crap year.
I know, I'm not saying they're good. I mean, I think the team's in purgatory. Not a lot to build on.
Terrible.
Not a lot of emotion. Not many people other than our friend from Jet
If
Central.
Marcus says if they get Bradford to the Jets, that would be a disaster.
Bradford is a statue. We saw him in Philadelphia. Totally overrated.
Sam Bradford.
He would definitely be a killer. He would
Sam Bradford is a complete.
He would take a team that's asleep and make them stupid.
Sam Bradford's the most overrated player to ever exist in
People
in
think that Sam Bradford was going to retire.
I hate.
I mean,
I don't hate
him. He's
Bradford.
a nice guy.
But why do people think he's good?
He had 3 major ACL surgeries. Any team that pins their franchise on Bradford, I guess you'd have to be named.
Cannot throw.
You'd have to be named either the Dolphins or the Jets. Let's keep going.
So
let's keep
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills definitely trending upward. They had a surprisingly good season, made the playoffs. They've got a ton of draft picks. I think they draft a quarterback in the first round.
Guys. Really good questions.
Why don't you just fire off the questions? Because I
I still want to keep it in order, so I don't want this to be total anarchy.
I don't mind anarchy. Oh, excuse me.
Someone said John Moore is an amazing coordinator for the Jets. If you talk to some Jets fans, oh my God, was that sarcastic?
Maybe. I think that's sarcasm.
I like disagreeing with the comments though. So if they think it's amazing, it's good because then we have general.
Here's a weird one. Ready for this?
He doesn't take any chances.
How about this? New England Patriots. We're in the AFC East, trending upwards or downwards.
I'm gonna say trending down. I mean, how could you trend up when you're the best?
Yeah, I know that's kind of a
slight
trick
down. They'll probably win the AFC again next year. That's a boring team to do. Boring team.
I know.
So they are losing coordinators.
Was a trick question.
They're losing Matt Patricia, trending down. Matt Patricia is a big part of their operation. But here's the one. How about this one? The Buffalo Bills, to me, I think are trending. They made the playoffs. But I think it depends on the quarterback that they have. I'm not a huge Brian Daboll fan. The Buffalo Bills, I think, are one of the most interesting franchises in all of sports. Their general manager, Brandon Beane, is probably my favorite general manager in the NFL. I mean, he had the guts to fire Rick Dennison. He had the guts to trade Sammy Watkins, at the beginning of the season and acquire Kelvin Benjamin. He's a guy. He also traded Ronald Darby. He's just tremendous. He's so you know what he is? He's so decisive.
But he also got rid of Robert Woods.
So decisive.
Getting rid of Robert Woods was not a good move. Getting rid of Sammy Watkins was a great move because they got stuff in return for him. Watkins was one of the most disappointing players in the league.
Was that Doug Whaley? Oh, that's a good question, though. So first, UCF Jaguar asked, and I'm going to get to that one. UCF Jaguar asked, do you think it was good for the Bucs to keep Dirk Cutter? And that's a really good question.
My answer is no. Not impressed with him as a coach, a personality. I think he's going sideways. I think they'll get rid of him next year. That's my prediction. How about you, Spence?
I think that at least Jameis Winston played great in the end. Like, he beat the Saints. He came on late. And you look at the Bucs, their defense was very overrated. I don't think their defensive coordinator is doing a really good job with Hargraves and a lot of these cornerbacks, and their culture really isn't that good. Their leadership, their defense.
Tampa Bay's an underachieving team.
I don't like how their defense is built at all. It's a whole hodgepodge of guys. They're kind of built like the Redskins, It's so random. It's not built in a congruent way at all. Their defense is not congruent at all. Someone asked, do you think Pat Shurmur working with Davis Webb will be very good? And I think that Davis Webb, if I had to predict, I think it's fun to predict where Davis Webb will end up retiring. I think that Davis Webb will be a Hall of Fame quarterback when it's all said and done.
I don't think there's any
basis
I think
he'll win
to say
3
that.
championships.
Davis Webb?
Davis Webb is the hardest worker in the NFL.
Okay, well,
he has all the arm talent to be successful.
The Giants,
he cares the most. He's the most cerebral quarterback in the league. I don't get why people are thinking that Davis Webb is going to fail.
Tim Tebow is very cerebral. Doug Flutie was cerebral.
Right.
Manziel, definitely not cerebral.
But Tebow had an issue with throwing the ball. Davis Webb is a pure passer.
I don't think he's got a tremendous arm. I think he's got an average arm. Here's the
This
point.
guy has a good
The
arm.
New York Giants are going to be drafting a number one quarterback. They are. They're going to be probably
No.
drafting Blake Rosen.
That's a terrible.
Blake Rosen.
Blake Rosen, another Jewish guy getting bar mitzvah.
Actually,
it's Josh Rosen and his brother Blake getting bar mitzvah. Blake
right.
Rosen.
That's right. Well, I think if they draft
Josh Rosen, that'll be
you would like that.
he is just the most salty of salty dogs. One, Josh Rosen is the most polarizing guy in the NFL. If you think an anthem protest is polarizing, Josh Rosen is polarizing, okay?
Exciting.
I'm not going to get political on this show, but Josh Rosen, he went to like a Trump golf course with an F Trump hat, so he's a total love-hate guy. He had a hot tub in his room. He said that Alabama kids are dumb, essentially. Remember when he said the Alabama football players don't go to class and there's no academics there? I mean, he literally, every press conference, he's going to say something that is so distracting and so just ridiculous. Why would you ever want somebody to be like that? Also, Josh Rosen's the most uncoachable player in this whole draft process. Talk to his high school coaches. He thinks he knows better than the coaching staff. If I was a coach, I'd hate to coach Josh Rosen.
Okay, number one, I'm going to give you the counterpoint. Josh Rosen he's got the height, the size, the arm talent. He's got the it factor. He's only 20 years old or 21. He's not an old guy. He's going to mature. So if he's with a good coach, he needs a coach that'll give him structure. We could look at certain people like Bruce Arians is gone. He's retired. But even Belichick, obviously, if he drafted a Josh Rosen, he's gonna knuckle into the Patriot system. Nobody bucks that system. Even Randy Moss was good there. So I think that Josh Rosen with Pat Shurmur, that would be a bad fit. Pat Shurmur's a very nice guy. I think kind of a bland, not in a bad way. Bland blue collar guy. Him and Rosen, it's New York.
I just like Josh. I just like Josh Allen more.
Okay,
I love Josh Allen.
Tell us about tell the fans out there in Roverland about Josh Allen. Give us his parameters.
He needs
please.
great coaching.
Yep.
I'll agree. Josh Rosen's more defined than Josh Rosen's more defined than Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a wild card. Great arm talent.
Josh Allen has got a big upside, right?
He's fast.
Big upside, right?
He's fast. He's going. The one problem is if you went to the Jets, Josh Allen in a West Coast system with 1,000 reads, he'd be an awful fit there. He needs to go to a very simple offense. Like, Doug Peterson has a pretty simple, wide open offense where it's hit Zach Ertz on third down, be decisive, take chances. That's where Josh Allen can't go to a place where they're going to remodel his game, where they're going to go and work on his footwork, and they're going to give him 1,000 things to think about, and they're going to say...
They do that, they'll mess him up. They'll tie him up in knots, right?
You know what my least favorite...
He needs to be instinctive, right?
You know what my least favorite cliche is? Winning the turnover battle and taking care of the ball, because that means that you play conservative, non-exciting offense. So those are my least favorite coordinators. So I'm going to get to some of these questions. A lot of guys ask, do you think that the Jets are going to take Baker Mayfield? Do you think that Todd Bowles is going to take Baker Mayfield in the draft?
It's hard to say. Where exactly are they drafting? Like 6, something like that?
6.
Okay, got it right on the money. It's not out of the question, but Baker Mayfield, New York Jets, well, let's look at the pros. Mayfield is a winner. He brings charisma and attitude. He's going to fill the seats. The Jets fans didn't go to the games last year. A lot of empty seats. It was boring. Nothing worse than being boring. One thing Mayfield is not as boring. He could jump in. He could start right away. And unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot of offensive weapons. That was a comment that was made, and we agree with that comment.
I think that I don't like Todd Bowles in New York. I haven't been a fan, but I am a huge fan of Baker Mayfield going to the Jets or Josh Allen. And Josh Rosen, I think Josh Rosen in the right spot can be a good quarterback. I was a little hard on him earlier. I think he's an entertaining guy, and he makes us easier. So yeah, I think if the Giants should maybe take Saquon Barkley. That would be a really exciting running back. And you don't know yet. Like people are
So
just
you've come
why
around.
are people giving?
You actually didn't like, but you're actually coming around to think
Yes.
he's a good draft pick.
Why are people giving up on Saquon Barkley?
Are you giving up on
What
Saquon
do you
Barkley?
think,
You know what's good? This is good for clickbait. The cutest cat in the world, the big fat boy, is in the. There he is.
Here, can you ask him what he thinks?
Okay, so are you drafting Saquon Barkley?
Ask him.
And he's saying, no, maybe so, but I think we need a quarterback that Eli can't play forever.
You know what's so funny about Huckle is he never sits with us when we're not on the live stream. All right, that's enough.
Enough. Okay, this is serious.
I don't
This is a serious
get-
show.
it's so
This is serious. Let's
Why
get
it's so
serious.
The quarterbacks are the most interesting part of the draft.
Championship week,
You know what
why
else
be
I find
serious?
funny about the NFL draft is there's so many fans that don't care about the Vikings, Eagles, Patriots, and Jaguars that they want to talk about the draft. And you know what all they talk about is, and I'm guilty
Only
of
the
this
quarterbacks.
too.
Only the
I'm
quarterbacks.
guilty of this. No, only about a pool of about 50. They only talk about the first round. No one, and also when I see mock
That's
drafts,
normal.
but when I see mock drafts,
You fault
they
them for
never
that?
go to the fourth round. I want to
Well,
know
why do
the
you think-
fourth
why
and
do you
fifth
think that
round.
is?
Because
It's obvious
but
why.
I want to
Nobody
find.
knows the players except for you.
But I want to find
Nobody,
gems.
you can't even name. But I mean, it's
Don't
good
you
to
think-
find rare
but don't you
gems.
think football fans want to know like the guys that are going to be fielding their team? Like those are the medal rounds, the fourth and the fifth round of the draft.
The fifth round. But I'm saying there's not even a
Fourth
lot of
round.
discussion. Even like Mel Kiper and those guys,
They don't.
even they run out
They
of things
take
to
the
talk
easy
about.
way out because they don't take the time to research.
The fifth and sixth
Research.
rounders, seventh rounders.
Hey, I have a question. Why do you think so many people are giving up on Davis Webb in New York? Like, why do you think he's an afterthought?
I'll tell you why. Because the team gave up on him. The coaches, when they had the chance to play Davis Webb, they played Geno Smith, who I think has got no future. So I think they're feeding off of Ben McAdoo, and he was certainly disastrous. And, out of sight, out of mind. What have you seen of Davis Webb? He's been buried. It's like he's on the witness protection program in New York.
Let's talk a little bit about the Niners. I know that the Niner Empire is again, part of this
Great.
YouTube channel.
We want to appreciate the Niner Empire. Certainly, you are the Jimmy G biographer. You review more tape on him than probably the 49ers themselves.
Next year, I like going over every play, and I got to show you this guy on YouTube. His name's Matt Wyatt Bruce, and he has this software that I want to get where he can Sharpie in the film. Like he reviews film, and it shows up in yellow Sharpie. And he's
a telestrator.
he's the cleanest
It's
YouTuber
good.
out
It's
there.
good. No, it is a good program.
What is it called?
It's
Is it on
probably
the
about-
computer?
It's probably about
Dang it. Can you send that? I forgot. I didn't read that question, but sorry.
Could you say the question
Tell
again?
us about the Telstra.
I'm sorry. It's about excuse me, I'm going to sneeze.
Go. False call.
I'm going to really sneeze. And the cat is gone.
Woo! So
Sneeze meter
I also want
is
to
off.
let me tell you something before you go on about the Telstrator.
It's about
Our
$1,500.
friends at the Sports Fury,
Yep.
they pretty much they live stream every game, okay? And I think those guys
They do
are
watch
really
parties.
entertaining.
They do watch parties for
So
every
for
game.
the Vikings game, they got
Do they say
120,000
show the game?
viewers.
Do they say show the game?
I think so. I think
Show the game is the biggest comment that you get when you're
Well,
actually
listen,
doing the live stream.
those guys are up to 11,000 subscribers. Once you're up to
great.
11,000 subscribers on YouTube, then you automatically, I think, will surge to like 30,000 to then to 50. So those guys, again, let's knock on wood and continue for their success. Because, I mean, they just have the best thing going. And if I
Sports
had to
theory.
buy any stock, it would be my guys I do my podcast with in the Sports Fury. But, we could talk about the Telestrator real quick, and then we have a question
Not
on
much to say
Taylor,
about it.
Taylor Gabriel.
It's about a $1,500 item.
Is it expensive?
It's $1,500. You could.
That's
it's not-
expensive as hell.
It's a little expensive, but
So,
when it snaps on, it's like a.
Wait.
It's a piece of hardware. It's not software. It's actually hardware.
So here's the thing. Taylor Gabriel reuniting with Shanahan will be okay. I want to see the Niners get Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller's my favorite prospect in the draft. He was a walk-on kid
Taylor
at
Gabriel is
Memphis.
kind of a gimmicky player.
Yeah.
He had one play in the Falcons game, It gained 3 yards, and that was it.
He's all right.
Nothing more to say
He's
about him.
small and fast. That's what he is. But
Very small.
I look at the Niners and I'm a little worried. Reuben Foster, was smoking weed in Alabama, which, I think he could recover from that.
Goes to California, you can smoke it legally now. It's actually legalized in the whole state, so he could go to the Rams, the 49ers.
I think that you just need
Chargers.
one corner. You need one corner.
Yes.
The Niners, I think, with Jimmy Garoppolo, everyone's going to be expecting them to make the jump. Like Jimmy Garoppolo is like the Jameis Winston of this year.
I think they will make the jump.
And I'm a little worried about the expectation, but I think that I am, but I'm excited about it.
Well, I think Jimmy G.
I love John Lynch.
He's got all the. I know you did a lot of film breakdown. His mechanics aren't perfect, but his instincts are, his mobility, his intelligence, coming out of the Belichick system, coming out of the Patriot system. It's going to be exciting for Niners. Like they've been bad for a while, like since T.O. left, and it's a storied franchise. With Joe Montana, even going back to John Brody, Kezar Stadium. Before Mike Nolan,
the Candlestick Stadium,
Candlestick Park, the windiest place on earth. Comment?
All right. Yeah. So someone asked me a very good question, very in depth.
Yes.
So first
long
of
question. What is the question? Repeat the question.
First, they thanked me for my football knowledge, and to tell you the truth, I really don't have. I don't know any play. Like I've never saw one playbook in my life, so I don't think I have that much football IQ. But I appreciate the person who liked my breakdowns and said, he said he wants to be an NFL scout, and I also want to be a scout myself, Bruce. So that question also results well. He was asking me, how do you become an NFL scout? He's really interested in gaining football knowledge. What you need to do is you probably need to, look at your high school or college and ask to work in their football office and ask to see. You need one unselfish coach. You need one guy to take a chance on you and give you an opportunity.
Let me answer the question also, please.
Yes.
If you guys, there's a group of seminars. They're kind of, I would call medium level seminars. We attended one in Indianapolis. There's a guy named Lynn Lashley. Lashley, Lynn Lashley. Google him. He does seminars for sports management, for scouts, and you'll actually go to seminars where you actually talk to actual NFL scouts. Not that expensive, not like super.
No, it's not
classy, but it's okay.
Super
it's all right.
I don't like it.
It's all right. But Lynn Lashley, I think he does a nice job. If you want to be a scout, you could.
I would love to get an NFL playbook. What's the Bears' record next year? I love the hire of Matt Nagy, and I think the Bears will be 7-9. I still think that their defense isn't that great.
It's a rebuilding year.
8-8.
They're trending upwards.
Thank you, Marcus. I really appreciate it.
I'd say 7-9. I agree. Trending upwards from this year, I think, just a hair.
I love Mark Helfrich, though. What do you think about that hire at offensive coordinator from Oregon? Marcus Mariota's offensive coordinator, Mark Helfrich. To tell you the truth, Bruce, I don't like a 3-4 defense at all. Because when you have 3 defensive linemen, it's hard to get sacks when you only have 3 guys on the defensive line. I love a 4-3 defense, and Vic Fangio is a 3-4 defense type of guy.
I think it depends on your personnel.
Hit up Belichick for playbooks.
Yeah,
UCF Jaguars said he has every playbook.
He probably does. Well, I don't think you have to be able to call.
They got James Harrison, but now he's not even going to play the Steelers. Oh,
no, what a waste. What a waste. I guess I have to release him.
But go pick up Marcel Darius.
To say that you need to be able to read an NFL playbook or call plays to know football, I think is
I don't think anybody
totally overstated.
I don't think anybody knows the NFL playbook, though.
Right, you don't need to know that to be a football.
I wish we could create.
How many play? If you put a gun, listen, Adam Schefter's a great guy.
If you put a gun to his head. No, you'd have to point the gun like this because he's like only 5'5". You'll have to point the gun like that.
Ab Schefter doesn't know NFL playbooks. He sure is very knowledgeable, and
well, he's like, but in terms, I've never heard him break down an actual football game. He only knows where people are going. where people are
He's a
signing.
specialist,
He's
yeah.
a gossiper.
Well, he's a personnel specialist, I guess.
Yeah, when coaches are being signed.
like-
He doesn't know football
I
IQ.
think Mel Kiper could know a playbook either. No, he's a personnel
But that's
guy.
actually, but he knows actual like talent. He's a
Well, he's a talent evaluator.
he's different than Schefter though.
Yeah, different. No, you're right. Schefter is kind of a guy who breaks stories.
Right. He's a cell phone answerer. But
Yeah,
Kiper,
he's definitely an answer.
Kiper is a you know what Mel Kiper is?
He's a person. He's a guy who studies, players that are pretty much anonymous.
Babies.
No, in other words, he follows them. He's doing a very arduous journey into mediocrity most of the time.
But how much money does he lives? He has a great gig because he makes so much money, and
he's got to work like 1 weekend. He has to work 1 weekend. He makes a lot of money.
It's like
Kuiper's got a great job.
It's
doesn't
like
he?
Joe Lenardi, the bracketologist.
He's got a great job too.
Yeah.
Oh boy, really.
Shefty is the ages. You know what? Why do you know Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network? Whoa, that's a big
question.
comment.
I hate 3-4 deep 4-3.
Yes. We got some real serious questions. You're not going to find a podcast that talks about the 3-4 that much.
I know. I'm gonna take a divergent opinion. If you've got three really good defensive linemen and you don't have a fourth, well, have a fourth linebacker. The Eagles have like this wide nine.
They're 4-3. Are you kidding me?
No,
Jim Schwartz is 4-3.
Yeah, they got a wide nine. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh, we have a lot of 3-4s here.
Do you remember the Houston Oilers? They had a great. It's really old. The Houston
The
Oilers had
85
a great
defense is
By the way,
3-4.
the
Damn
Houston
it.
Oilers,
Because you have more guys
back
in
in
coverage,
the day.
I
Back in the
think,
day,
so.
they had a great 3-4. You need an incredible nose tackle.
You do to shut
and
down the
two
run, right?
Yeah, you need two big ass defensive ends. Otherwise, I would have to agree with you.
You know who's great? You know who would be great? That guy Deron Payne is the perfect 3-4 defense.
Deron Payne, number 94 for the Alabama Crimson
Because he's
Tide.
like he's
He's a complete beast.
You need a
We know
hole.
he's like
He's a
Fletcher
black
Cox.
hole. He's a black hole.
By the way,
He's like a vortex.
How big is Fletcher Cox? He just is.
He swallows
Fletcher
everything.
Cox reminds me of Payne a little bit. Those guys are complete beasts.
They're the same.
I mean, Fletcher Cox got drafted. He was like 350, and then he put on like 20 more pounds.
You know what? If you hang with the live stream, the fans will get you. And now we have a lot of questions, and this is what's great about the
That's
YouTube
great. We
channel.
appreciate all the
What
questions.
are the best coaching hires so far? I know my favorite. Hire.
Okay, let me think about that for a moment. I think it took some balls for the Tennessee Titans owner to fire
female owner.
Yeah, to Mrs. Marianne Strunk. I'm probably not even close to getting her name right.
Wait,
Name is Strunk.
but
She got, what the coach? Who's the coach who got fired?
Malarkey.
Malarkey got strunked.
Malarkey was that. Remember, like 3 weeks ago, he was like having a stroke over because the owner wouldn't talk to him.
No vote of confidence. I guess we know why. Your head was already in the gallows.
And the players had to give the confidence to Malarkey. And John Robinson, if you listen to him, he's like a Marine. He's like the toughest guy. They asked, why'd you fire Malarkey? And they're like, I think we have to go in a different direction. He said that answer maybe the whole entire press
Everybody
conference.
says that.
I think it's just,
I say that
I think
too.
it was just time to go in he went to no specific
You know what
things.
I
Like
say when I
they
fire
asked him,
people?
do you want Mariota to have a more up-tempo offense? He's like, you know what? I think we made some progress, but I think it's time to just go in a different direction. He just said that.
Let me say that. When I fire people in my office, I always say things aren't exactly working out. We want to move in a different direction. We know you're going to have a great career. And give us your keys. We're going to change the locks anyway.
I thought that was great. I think Matt Patricia is going to be the most exciting hire, though. Out of anybody,
Never heard him say
I'm
a word.
so excited.
He's a nuclear physicist.
But
I've never actually heard the guy say a word.
Have you ever heard
him say anything?
Have you ever went to
I've never heard of him being
Have you ever
interviewed.
went to a creepy kids party and you've seen a person inhale like a hot air balloon of helium? And
That's
their
Matt
voice,
Patricia.
And their voice talks like,
No,
That's Patricia's voice.
Have you heard his voice really?
His voice is literally like, he hasn't gone through puberty and the droplets haven't dropped.
Well, you know what, though?
It's funny, though. He's a great coach.
That's good. I've never heard him, so I can't comment at all.
That's why he doesn't talk. I think that Mariota, like, who do I think should be the next coach? And exactly, you got to run pass option. You should have an explosive offense. It'd be funny if Chip Kelly came back to coach the Titans, but he won't.
He's not.
Hugh Freeze.
He's never come back to the NFL.
What about
Chip Kelly in his 5 plays? He's going to stay out at UCLA.
How about Hugh Freeze?
Hugh Freeze is going to be an offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're the rumors, and I believe the rumors.
What do you think about Matt Rule coming back to the NFL? I think that'd be a good hire. Rule has NFL experience. He's trying to take over a program at Baylor right now. I think Rule is great.
Rule is a great guy, nice guy.
He was great at Temple.
Coach at Temple.
He's like Bruce Arians.
The fact is, did he lose every game at Baylor?
But it's Baylor.
I mean, understand.
The whole team was
it's
doing
hard,
things
though,
to the student
but,
body.
when you're a coach, it's what have you done for me lately? So if you like lost all your games in college,
you understand
who's going to take him in the NFL?
You understand that all his
be a quarterback.
All his players got suspended. I mean, it was even
Baylor.
hard. You know, when Bill O'Brien took over Penn State, imagine that, but twice as bad.
Listen, that was a bad move for him. He shouldn't have left Temple. He should have gone to a better
institution.
institution.
Baylor. Like, Baylor was competitive in every game. If you watch the Oklahoma Baylor game.
How many games did they win?
I'm a Matt Rule believer.
I like Matt. How many games did they win? 2 games, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question. John DeFilippo.
Is that a question about him, really?
Yeah. What do you think about him leaving for the Cardinals? I think the Cardinals was an attractive job. Michael Bidwell's a great owner. He's one of the coolest
I think
guys.
John DeFilippo, he's going to be a young coach. He's 40 years old. He's right from Radnor High School. He's right local.
He's great at running a pizza shop, probably.
Yeah,
DeFilippio's.
Oh, that's a racist statement.
It's so racist. No, come on.
I think he'd be good. I think everybody speaks highly of him. He's a quarterback whisperer. So who is he going to develop in Arizona? That's what I'd like to know. Carson Palmer. The ghost of Carson Palmer.
He'll be whispering.
The ghost of Jim Hart, that was St. Louis Cardinals.
Can he whisper
going back to 1969?
Can he whisper to Blaine Gabbert, or Blaine Gabbert can't hear?
I don't think
some quarterbacks can't hear the whisperer.
That's a great look. Yawning, very nice.
You just called me racist, and you just yawned.
I yawned at the
cardinal sins. You called your co-host racist, and you yawned.
I said you have white privilege.
Nah, gosh. I guess you're not white.
I'm not.
Marcus Mariota is not white. He's not black. He's the superior race.
He's Hawaiian.
Samoan? You know what's interesting about
not a Samoan.
No,
actually.
You know what's interesting about the
Plenty
Bills?
of good Samoans.
You know what's interesting?
Tua is a Samoan.
Right. You know what's interesting?
That guy. It was Tula.
You know what's
that guy is called a Samoan.
You know,
or a guy named
have Palomalu and
Troy Polamalu
and Tua together.
And how about Vasikahima?
Yes.
You know what's amazing?
And
if you look at the Samoans, that part of the world is so incredibly small. I think about like half of their population comes to the NFL. They're really good.
And also, they're the kindest people.
They're the cleanest, kindest, most religious people.
Yes.
You'll never have to worry about a Samoan shoplifting from China.
Just have the whole world be Mormons and Samoans.
Samoans are kind of like Mormons in the sense they're very, very religious, very family oriented.
You know that the sports.
I've never met a Samoan I didn't like.
The sports fury is here.
And logged in?
Yes.
Want to welcome Sports Theory.
They're coming up to WrestleMania.
Really? Okay.
I'm not going to say where they're going to WrestleMania, but they're going to WrestleMania.
Well, you might say the town. I don't think people are going to track him down.
Eric Reed, I mean, he's, outspoken, pretty good leader. They were trying to move him to linebacker. I think there's a chance that he leaves. He's kind of a positionless man right now. I mean, he's a guy that I know Niner fans love, but I think he's going to require too much money. I think Le'Veon Bell would be an interesting move for the Niners, though. And we'll see.
Le'Veon was a little discontent. Was he franchised?
Peter Dacius, man, is saying Skull Vikings. The Vikings are a really entertaining team. I love the Vikings. But what was your question?
Well, again, I'm living Philly. Trying to be objective. I think that the Vikings, very likable team. Zimmer, extremely likable coach. Pat Sher, I'm giving you my breakdown. I think the Eagles are at home. It's their year. There's something intangible. They're going to win an ugly game by 3 points. But, I respect the Vikings and certainly the Vikings fans.
Are you an Eagles fan?
I do root for the Eagles, but I try to be objective about it. If they're terrible, I'll be the guy. I'll be ragging on them. I think that they are. Obviously Nick Foles is mercurial to say is a word. If he could follow the last performance with a serviceable performance, no turnovers, I think Foles can take him to the Super Bowl. Can he beat the Patriots? I don't think so right now. We're going to see how things develop.
The Eagles' defensive line could beat the Patriots.
Well,
It's
a team game.
Out of all, let's look at the last. This is the last thing I'm gonna do.
Let's
go back to let's go back to the Super Bowls. Okay, so in 2005, we had. Do we have Patriots playing Jake Delhomme in the Super Bowl?
Whose defense? It's a great question.
What?
Whose defense is better, Vikings or Eagles? I think at the Lincoln Financial Field with the 12th man, I think the Eagles had, in my opinion, the Falcons were less physical than were the Saints. And I think the Eagles, they won in the last second, but I think they expended less energy than did the Vikings. So I would say, and also the Vikings aren't used to playing outdoors. They don't do very well outdoors in away games. So I would say the Eagles' defense is slightly better. I'd say the secondary. This is how I would break it down.
Secondary,
I'd say the line is pretty much a toss-up. They both have great defensive lines.
I think the Eagles have a better. That's the only.
I think the linebackers are better on the Eagles. Secondary is slightly better on the Vikings, I would say.
Slightly better. Xavier Rhodes is the best corner in the NFL.
Okay.
Andrews and Dejo and Harrison Smith are Pro Bowlers. Trey Waynes is pretty good. Mackenzie Alexander's the Vikings secondary is so much better than the Eagles. The Vikings linebackers are better. Anthony Barr is better. Kendricks' brother. You always said you wanted the other Kendricks.
I think Michael
you
Kendricks
always
has been great.
said that you wanted the other Kendricks.
I believe that.
You always said you wanted the other Kendricks.
I'm taking it back right now. Nigel Bradham, All-Pro year, all over the field, tremendous.
He's the one only good player on the linebacking.
Okay, well, let's line up.
Isn't Hicks hurt?
Well, listen, you've got the guys. Yeah, Hicks is out for the year with an Achilles tear.
But then you look at Everson.
Let's look at the line.
No, the defensive line. The Eagles have a better defensive line.
Okay,
it's more deep.
They have a rotation. Like you've got Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, certainly all pros.
Bo
this
Allen.
Year. Bo Allen, very solid.
Timmy Jernigan's
is really good.
It's great.
They do have a better defense.
Much better. Their coaching is better.
If you
Jim
look
Schwartz is probably better.
If you look at the third linebacker for the Eagles, that person is not that special.
Gosh, that's a tough question. What defense would I take? I do like the Vikings, defensive savviness. You know how they don't give up big plays.
I'll take in the cold in Philadelphia. This is where the Eagles have played. They haven't lost a game at Lincoln Financial Field. I'll take the.
You're an Eagles
as far
fan.
as throwing. No, you don't have to keep saying that. I'm okay. Here we are.
Stop.
Yeah, there we go.
Why are you doing that? Low power mode on your phone.
You mean why are we losing power? Because the battery is running down on our iPhone X, and but so the fact is, I can acknowledge. I didn't call it like I see it. When the Eagles are bad, I'm the biggest one to criticize them. Question.
Yeah, Sidney Jones will be good though. I like that.
Question about Sidney Jones?
Yes.
Yeah, Sidney Jones will be good next year. He's not going to be playing anymore. He's got a hamstring injury, not severe. But enough to keep him out the rest of the year.
Thanks, Bruce, for doing the live stream, man. I really appreciate it. You guys.
Thanks for logging on to Rover Sports. Spencer G.
You guys are great.
Sports Doc. You guys are great.
I really appreciate.
We appreciate everybody.
You know what we're gonna be doing?
We'll continue. Tomorrow we'll do another one.
You know what we're gonna be doing?
What are we doing?
We did the AFC trending up and down.
I don't want to do more teams tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to pace this out, or else we're not gonna have any content.
It's exactly noon. Noon. It shows you how tired. It's high noon here in Alaska.
All right, I'll see you guys.